Tell me one person on planet Earth who's never suffered. It is part of us. We lose people we love. We go through tough times. We have ups and that is just part of being human. But the fact is, when we keep running from them and pretending they don't exist, that's when they start doing damage to us. And that's when things like shame become a problem, because you become so shameful that you can't deal with your own pain. But really, it's not your fault. And what has happened in Irish society is we've become incredibly uncomfortable with other people's pain. So that person has to force themselves to medicalise, to drink, to become obsessive behaviour. It's because if somebody came up to you as a friend and goes, I'm really, really struggling with life, most people in Ireland go, oh Jesus Christ, fucking hell, don't fucking bring that heavy shit on me. And that is not, that's hard, because if you want to progress society in mental health, peer-to-peer support is crucial. I think one of the things me and Louise talk about a lot, it's important sometimes to point out that it's not our fault. You know, it's how we were built. It's how our brains are. We always put the emphasis on the individual. There's something wrong with the individual. There's something, you know, broken within the individual. Really, our culture and our society and environment is really hard. It's hard to live in it. It's overwhelming, and it's overwhelming a lot of people, far more than you might think.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of the time, the inclination is to ask, what's wrong with you? Or what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? But instead of asking that question, I think we should be asking, well, how has society failed you? You know, or how has your environment failed you? That you have ended up in this situation, and that you have the beliefs that you do, or that you feel the way that you do, or that is negatively affecting your outlook or your future. So let's look at that, and that simply asking that question like that is taking that weight off the shoulders of the individual. And it's not to say that the individual doesn't have the power to change their own trajectory. They do, but it's giving them the tools to do that, and providing them and teaching them how to use those tools is what we can do better in our system.
And I think it's also important to point out, you can't have this discussion without having a discussion around inequality. Inequality, the best form of therapy is equality across all spectrums, especially people who are struggling, who simply can't get access to support. They can't get there. They can't get that help. That has to change, because if we want to progress the conversation around mental health, we have to push for greater equality, economic equality as well, because mental health access is tough. So these are all things. There's a big picture, a big conversation here, and the fact that we're having it is positive.
Yeah, and also just to mention the early intervention and the importance of early intervention rather than waiting till there's a crisis. You know, I used to know this an amazing client, amazing patient, but you know, he said that the only time I got help, I went to try and get help because my laces were broken, and I was told to come back when my shoes were gone, essentially. You know, it's a really nice analogy of how the system sometimes works and sometimes fails people. If we could get help for when they just have those early issues and that support, it's going to save, not to mention economically, a huge amount down the line, but it saves them. It saves...
Humanly.
Yeah. It literally saves their whole life, really, and for those people who are in contact with them or come behind them.